What is it that will get us back to living in harmony with one another while uncovering our own way to be that best serves the highest version of ourselves? I'm Julia. This is 101 Ways of Being. I'm so happy that you're here. Oh man, lately it has been so crazy. I don't know if it's just me or if you're feeling it too. Even just today trying to record this episode, there's been so many different things stopping me, and I'm like, you know what? We're gonna sit down and get this recorded. And I hope that, something I say resonates with you. I hope that I say what needs to be said and honor what needs to be heard. So I've got my matcha latte, some water, snack. So if you'd like something sweet or refreshing, something to warm up with while listening, if you're not driving or doing something else as you're tuning in, maybe pause and go get yourself a snack or something to drink. Let yourself relax for a bit and take your mind off the moment for a moment. We are so often in a rush from one thing to the next. No wonder so many of us are overwhelmed, especially since we went from having this forced stillness, this forced, having to stay inside and not doing anything. And now it's like there's so many things, something every weekend, something every night that you could be doing. And it's almost like overwhelming. And there's just all these deadlines, and it's crazy time of year. I mean, it's kind of crazy all year, but just in general, when was the last time you got home or moved between tasks with a pause to breathe? I think it's so easy to, we wake up in the morning and we just boom, 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 boom. We do all these things, and then it's like, oh, it's the end of the day already. How did we get to, this time in the day? The days go by so fast, and I don't know, I feel like taking a moment to sit, whether that's for 3 breaths, in between emails while you sit at your desk at work, or 20 minutes with your feet up the wall once you get home at the end of the day. Contrary to popular belief, we don't have to do it all. Even if we have these deadlines, my thing is, if it's not life or death, deadlines can be pushed. And even if it can't, it's not like all your fault if something can't be done at a certain time. Or even just taking a moment to step back and just kind of refresh, like clear the browser for a moment. Then you can kind of go back and do it with a refreshed, maybe you won't feel totally refreshed, but just be like, all right, I took a moment to breathe. Let's get back into it, rather than just forcing the whole day through it. And then it's the whole day and you haven't even gone to the bathroom. It's like, that's not good for anyone, especially not you. We can't do our best if we're not treating ourselves best. So this episode, though I will mention a couple of different meditation methods that I like to practice, it's less an episode on meditation and more a reflection on taking time to be still. And what I've noticed in the rushing world as I've tried to navigate slowing down. Sometimes in the moments that I do take a step back, or I'm in between tasks, or if I'm having a hard time focusing, I like to imagine a whiteboard. If my mind is especially busy, I'll imagine a bunch of whiteboards kind of, in the whole room. on every wall, or chalkboards you can do. With each breath cycle, I imagine wiping clean, clearing away the whiteboards. Another imaginary tool that I'm sure you've heard of before is to visualize each of your thoughts as clouds. And whenever a thought comes up, imagining it floating on by. And that's not to say you don't acknowledge the cloud, but it's more like, okay, I'll deal with that later. Right now, I'm here, just feeling what it feels like to be here. So what does it mean to be still versus rushing through the day? With it being December, it's right before the holidays and the start of a new year. Sagittarius season, and I've been seeing a lot about how Sagittarius, the energy is sort of all about daydreaming, and of course they're very adventurous as well. But I think this time, especially with it being the winter, it's a time that I think slowing down is really important. As animals go into hibernation, it's been so normalized to become so busy this time of year. We have these bright lights outside, which are beautiful, but at the same time, there's just so much stimulation this time of year. I think it's really hard to even find the time to relax and really rest in the way that you need, because many of us need several weeks off to really recuperate. But I think even if it's just slowing down a little bit, cutting out a couple of tasks, maybe not going to as many Christmas parties or not staying out as late, whatever it means to you, how can you slow down this year? And then, when we start the new year and we think about our goals for the next year, if you like to do that, as we go into January, that's Capricorn season, and it'll be a time for action. That's when we can really start to take more action. But it's still, at the same time, we're still in this winter season, and winter is kind of seen as this connection to our emotions. And it's a time of processing what we have experienced the last several months, the last year, the last few years. This time is for dreaming and discerning what you want to manifest and what you want to release. What do you not want to bring into the next year? This time is for clearing away the clutter, cleaning away the dust that has collected the past several months. We always talk about spring cleaning, but, I think taking the time to really maybe deep clean a little bit, just what are some, do you have a stack of papers that you've been meaning to go through that, throw away what you don't need. And like I said, with slowing down, you don't have to clean out your whole closet in one day, but you go through one box. Or if you're starting to feel like you want to do more, then do more, but clear away the clutter, because making space for the things that you do want to manifest is important. We need to create the space literally for new things to come into our life. And even just throwing away something that, just like a piece of paper maybe that you held onto for a long time, or just like a photograph that brings you a negative emotion. Not that that's bad, because we still need to process it, but I don't know. I found that there's just things that I've held on to for many years, and now I'm at this point where I'm like, you know what? I just don't even want this anymore. I don't want to be reminded of that memory or emotion every time I pull out this box or go through this notebook or whatever. So clearing away the clutter to make room for next year. Just kind of thinking about that. And that can even just be like a drawer in your dresser. Get rid of some old t-shirts that you don't even like anymore. Why keep it, you know? Especially the stuff that you haven't worn in years. It's like, just let it go. As I've been getting more into the habit of doing recently with planning these episodes, I did a little tarot reading yesterday. Hopefully I'll actually remember to include the image this time, because I've already put the cards away. But I pulled the Hermit card from my Elemental tarot deck, so that's in the middle of this spread. And then I also pulled the Chariot, Six of Cups, Justice, Strength, Judgment, and Ace of Cups. And then I'm just going to read from what I journaled at the time. We are being asked, what do you want to carry into the new year? And what do you want to leave behind? As I mentioned, this can entail clearing out the closet. This also has to do with our attitudes, behaviors, coping mechanisms, and so on. While you can't expect yourself to change overnight and accept what's been lost or found immediately, it's evaluating your circumstances and who you are today. How can you find true balance? How will we find balance as a whole in our communities near and abroad? The pace to peace is often debated, but the journey to inner and world peace has to begin within. So much is changing so rapidly, and we can never know what's to come next. Sometimes it feels as though you make great strides in your healing, or the blessings are more visible and felt. Sometimes it feels as though you make great strides in your healing, or the blessings are more visible and felt, while a few days later you feel like you're back at the bottom of the barrel, but you're not. Even in the times where you feel weak or just a little bit like a fool, you are still moving forward. And this time, throughout our lives, we are asked to slow down, to stop and breathe, recollect, recuperate. When you're so focused on where you're going, it's easy to forget where you are or where you've been. Or we can get discouraged when things don't happen when we want it to or the way we wish. No one likes feeling out of control or weak. But a part of new phases and chapters in our lives is grieving what no longer is or never was, or at least not in the way we thought. Taking time out, especially during the busiest times, to allow ourselves to really feel what we're feeling and process whatever comes up. Lay it all out. Journal or talk to someone, even if that's just your pet. Over time, you'll see what grows from the pain or pleasures of your life. How can we grow from who we were before? Notice how what you need today differs from tomorrow. Excuse me. Do not judge yourself, but notice. Be the observer. Pause. Spend intentional time alone. Sleep in a little later, or try going to bed earlier if you can. Basically, don't work so hard. It's not that serious. Care for yourself so that you have the strength to care for others. Go easy on yourself. During the darkest, coldest time of the year, let the light guide you home. And know that things are changing and a lot is going to be different. Like, think about how different it was maybe a couple years ago this time of year and how different it will be a year from now. You know, especially when you start something new, like let's say you start journaling in the morning or going for a walk, or maybe you start to call a friend more regularly. You don't always notice the benefits of doing it right away. Sometimes you don't realize, or you can't really see the impact it's had until you look back. So with that said, I'm actually going to read an excerpt from the first day that I started doing morning pages. So when I started journaling every morning, first thing. And it's been just about 2 years since I started journaling every morning. Before, I maybe journaled once a week. And, you know, everyone has something different that works for them. But this is something that I can't imagine my day without doing this now. And it's just so interesting to be able to look back and see what my mindset was a couple of years ago. So this is my first morning of writing these pages, of starting my day in this way. This is truly just the beginning. It's a little daunting since these are large pages with thin lines, but this is an essential tool for my growth. I don't even yet realize the impact these pages will have. I think what is going to be hardest about this is how tired I feel in the morning. I also usually just sort of rush through my morning to get to work. Then I work to leave as early as possible to have an evening where a good portion of it will be held on my phone, staring into the oblivion of the screen. But how am I going to be able to fill 3 pages of this journal each morning, especially before work? This is a challenge to myself, to my body, and my spirit. This is what my soul needs to rediscover my creativity. This is going to help me at work by draining the brain of all that could be holding me back. The morning is an important time to shine. It sets us up for the rest of the day. I want to truly make the most of this chance for a daily rambling of my thoughts in the morning. As someone with anxiety, I tend to let things fester in my thoughts, which inevitably wears me out and sort of leaves me with a broken shell to build my home in. By taking the time to write out all that's on my mind, it gives me the chance to call attention to and acknowledge whatever could have the potential to eat at my psyche that day. I spend more time than I'd like on social media, particularly Facebook and Instagram. I don't like how much time it takes away and the addiction I feel to staying checked in. So something else that I was writing about and I said that day was, change can be extremely uncomfortable and awkward at times. But I am determined to break the norm of my day-to-day life. I am determined to build a life with the tools I already have inside myself. The morning pages can help me put odd things together, and realize the beauty in all that is connected. We are all connected to everything that came before and what will come after. I'm just one small element of what makes up the universe. The universe exists inside each of us. You know, and I'm not trying to say that journaling or doing, slowing down in the morning is the answer for everyone, but it's about finding what works for you. And, the reason why I shared that is, it's not like that's been the sole thing that's helped me the past couple of years, but, with the practice of morning journaling and taking myself out on dates and exploring more and just a combination of things, it's inspired me to create more. And I feel like I've been creating more of the life that I truly want because I'm able to discern that better. For years, I was confused and I didn't know what I wanted, or I was in denial about what I really needed because I hoped that things would get better. But things aren't going to get better until you make little by little small changes, or maybe sometimes it's a drastic change, cutting off the umbilical cord, stepping out into the world in a way you never have. And we have a way of surprising ourselves. And with that, I think life it's just so up and down, right? I mean, at times I feel so excited about things in my life and the people that I know. It's like I feel this love in my heart that just radiates, and I'm so grateful to feel that way because of the people that I know in my life and whatnot. But then on the other hand, I look back at all that has changed and all that's been lost over the years, the people that are no longer here, and it can be devastating to process things in our life. And sometimes we want to just shut it out and distract ourselves and not feel what we're feeling. And it's not that, the grieving process never ends. And you can't feel it all at once and then expect to just feel okay for the rest of your life about someone that's not here or whatever, traumatic thing, whatever. But we have to also let ourselves take the time to feel things. And I mean, at least I see that kind of stuff all the time online, gotta feel what you're feeling. And then you're like, oh, but what does that even mean? And for me, that's journaling in the morning and not worrying, oh, is somebody gonna read this? Because it's okay, if you're around people that you can't trust, then that's a problem in and of itself, but you should be able to journal. And like I said, it doesn't even have to be writing in something. It could be a voice memo or talking to your pup or writing an email and deleting it. Just don't block out what you're feeling and reach out to the people that you love and care about. There's so much support. We're made to feel like we can't reach out to anyone. But think about how good it feels when someone reaches out to you and says, oh man, I just love you so much and I'm so grateful to have you in my life. One of my friends just did that the other day and it just warmed my heart so much. And I think it doesn't hurt to do that, or, can we schedule a call to catch up? There's, I guess the point of what I'm saying is you're not alone. Even if we're made to feel like we're alone in what we're dealing with. A lot of us are dealing with very similar things. And just be gracious with yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. Take the time. Sleep in a little bit later. Let yourself be 15 minutes late for once. Whatever, We can't be everything for everyone at all times. What's enough is you just have to be enough for yourself and know that it's not even about trying your best. Sometimes it's just showing up as you are today. This is me. I can't do what I did yesterday, but it will get done when it gets done. I would like to read a poem that is a part of my writing sample for grad school. So it's still a work in progress, as everything about this show is. Here it goes. When a flower sheds its petals, it does not pick them back up. When a flower sheds its petals, it does not pick them back up. It does not staple, glue, or string itself back together. It waits, it weathers, it frowns, until one day, a new pearl pops out and into the air to feel the sun again for the first time. As you take some time to rest, perhaps you can meditate on this question. What do you feel called to cultivate in 2022? What do you feel called to cultivate in the year to come and beyond? And bouncing off of that, what are some things that you can let go of, give away, throw away, keep? You sort through the clutter, clear the clutter away. And remember, in moments that you feel overwhelmed, you can always put your hand on your heart and your other hand on your belly, or even both hands on your heart, or, whatever. There's a lot of different ways you can sit. Whatever way feels right for you. And if it feels right for you, you can imagine a whiteboard and just clearing it away. Or you can imagine, some people like to imagine just sitting in their happy place, whatever, I hope that I said everything that I wanted to say. I don't know, so let me know what you thought of this episode. I'll see ya next year. This episode is sponsored by coffee and matcha lattes and snacks and my assistant puppy. My assistant. I couldn't do it without her. I couldn't do it without you, Zuni. Thank you for tuning into episode 12, the final episode of 2021. We'll be back with new episodes next year. Thank you so much for supporting the show. I can't believe we've made it to this many episodes. It's not as many episodes as I had planned, but I'm still happy that this is going still and that you've supported the show and continue to support it. Please feel free to share with a friend that you think might relate or resonate in some way. You can subscribe to my newsletter by going to 101waysofbeing.com. If you want to support the show, you can consider joining our Patreon, which the link will be down below in the episode description. And hopefully next year, I'll be sharing more on that platform. It's just been crazy working a bunch of different part-time jobs and applying to grad school. But I do fully intend on sharing more exclusive content on there, like my poetry, extended interviews, bonus episodes, and hopefully next year we'll finally start having workshops, and there's a lot, and I'm really just grateful for any bit of support, even just giving a rating on the show, whatever you want to say, give me a review. Every little bit just helps me keep doing this thing. So thank you so much. 101 Ways of Being is recorded in Chicago, Illinois, and is edited and produced and all that stuff by me, Julia Schroeder. The music is by Mike Clark. and the cover art is by Franka Del Santo. Thank you.